In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about recalculating superelevation. We want to show what is impacted and what isn't. So in this case, you can see I've got my standard roadway that I've been using, which is Main, and I've actually come into this area and made some changes. I ran calculated my super at 65 miles an hour, but now what I've done is a couple of things. First of all, this bottom lane was calculated. And what I've done is I've gone in, I've changed all of the supers to a minus 12%, just so we can see the difference between those and the lanes next to them. The other thing I did is I highlighted it and I selected properties. Now keep in mind that a primary lane is calculated by the rules, so it's using either the SEP or the SRL file. And in this case, I used an SEP file. However, an auxiliary lane is set by the user. So you can either tell it to match the lane next to it, or in this case you can come in and set a value for it, and which I did at the 12%. So now what I did is I went into properties and I switched it from a primary lane to an auxiliary lane. And so what will happen is when it comes through and it computes the supers, again, I'm reprocessing, it's going to see that this is an auxiliary lane and it's not controlled by the rules anymore, and it will leave it alone. So let's go ahead. Once again, you can see we've got 12% here, but our regular lanes are based on our super, so you can see we're at 6% super. And then I also went into the adjoining lanes in the next section down to show you that I can process just this one area without impacting what's next to it. And so in this case, I've got a lane. Again, I changed these to 12% so they would show up. But these are still primary lanes. So if I was recomputing this particular section next to it, and I'll show you that at the end, it will go back and put those back to normal. All right, so how do I go about changing them? Let's say, for example, I had an adjustment in a curve, and so it shifted a little bit, or perhaps I want to change my design speed. So then I can go ahead and I can select my calculate superelevation. And it's going to ask me for which section I'm doing. I'm just going to do this one in the middle. And so I'm going to reset. And now it wants to know the file, and so I've got that. And in this case, again, I could switch it down to, say, 55 miles an hour if I wanted, or I can kick it up to some other values. Just go to 60. And I'm going to go ahead and I will click on it. And now we can see that we've still got the 4 lanes. But if I come down and look at the bottom one, you can see we're still set at our 12%. So in other words, it ignored my auxiliary lane, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. But you'll notice that the lanes next to it, okay, because I didn't tell it to process that section, were left as is. And to show you that's the case, I can come back in, and again, I can calculate. I can grab onto this section, reset to complete, go down through my prompts, and you can see now it switched, it took those extra colors out and went back to its normal. So by using the curve sets, you can adjust where it is that you're going to be reprocessing as well as what you process by using the auxiliary and primary lanes along with the curve sets.